For today's Eggaudo's game review, I will be reviewing a game that will make you feel nostalgic, and that game is Donkey Kong 64, so let's begin. For those who have not seen my previous videos, I am going to discuss the plot, the gameplay, and the soundtracks to the game, and come to a conclusion at the end. So let us talk about the plots of the game. As goes for many Nintendo games, Donkey Kong 64 has a rather simplistic kind of plot to it. Donkey Kong receives word from his pair friend that Diddy, Tiny, Linky, and Chunky have all been kidnapped by King K. Rool and imprisoned in multiple levels. Along with that, King K. Rool has a laser aimed at DK Island and charging up to obliterate the island along with the DK family. So the plot basically is about DK having to save his family and work together with them to stop K. Rool from using his laser. Short and simple, but not interesting enough to grab much people's attention. As for gameplay, here's where the game lacks. The game at first is great. You're playing as Donkey Kong, you're enjoying everything that's going on, but as soon as you release Diddy Kong, that's where you gotta repeat the level 2 times. And then when you release Tiny Kong in the same level, you then have a third run to do of the same level with slight differences, along with the previous level. This mechanic to the game takes away from the entertaining aspect to it by turning each level from something full of adventure to something you just don't want to do anymore. When you get to the late game, you basically are having to run around with each character over and over again, and it feels super repetitive. Let's take Gloomy Galleon as an example. You approach a fork in the road that splits into 3 directions. Heading to the fork in the road, there are bananas only Lanky can pick up, yet there is a gate there for Chunky to open. That requires you to go back and forth from the character swapping barrel just to collect the bananas and then open the gate. Then if you take Chunky's path shown with green bananas, you come to an end where a balloon is intended for Donkey Kong to pop, as well as a few Lanky balloons too. This crappy kind of gameplay is found so often within the game and just causes the player to slowly lose their mind. And if you thought that was bad, let me tell you about the coins you are required to get in order to actually progress through the game. In one level, there is a gate that is closed off and requires the player to grab a Nintendo coin and a Rareware coin. How does one exactly get these coins? Well, if you didn't read a guide, you would likely have never found out how to get the Nintendo coin specifically. In order to get the Rareware coin, Cranky Kong tells you must score a specific amount of points in the arcade game and he will give you the coin. For the Nintendo coin, however, there is no hint as to where you can get it. Apparently, you must defeat the classic Donkey Kong game found in a specific level not just once, but twice. Talk about tedious main quests. Lastly, the boss battles of the game had so much potential that was thrown in the garbage. Instead of having the DK family work together to take down the big baddies of the game decides that only one specific member is permitted to fight the boss. I don't know about you guys, but I would have loved to see Diddy and Chunky fight the Dragonfly boss together rather than have the boss first fight Diddy and then fight Chunky later in the game. Yup! The game creators decided it would be a better idea to have the same bosses come up again rather than just create entirely new bosses with unique ways to defeat them. 'Tis a shame. Now that we discussed gameplay, let us talk about the soundtracks. Now here's something I found to be very good about the game. Each area has a specific soundtrack that matches the setting very well. Cranky's Lab, for example, has bubbles popping in flasks in its music to help the player imagine themselves personally in the lab. The Angry Aztec music really gives you the feeling of being in a desert with its dry desert wind and usage of exotic instruments. And how about that world famous DK rap? Donkey Kong 64 really had a lot of work done to try and make the music as unique and full of life as it can. The creators really went the extra mile when it came to the music, and that is something I respect a lot. In conclusion, the game had many faults to it that I could not see as a child. Playing back through the game was definitely a walk down memory lane, but if this had to be my first time playing it, I would not think it was a great game. For plot, I give it a 4. It was way too simple and offered no backstory or character development whatsoever. For gameplay, I give it a 5. Although the game was very tedious a lot of the time, it still had its moments where I found it to be very fun. For music, I give it a 10. They really outdid themselves with the music, and without it, I would have probably quit playing early on into the game. So the overall rating I give for this game is a 6.3. The game has so much potential, but it was never realized by the developers while it was getting made. I would love for a second Donkey Kong 64 game to come out, but if it was to, I beg that they don't make the same mistakes again. Thank you all for watching Eggaudo's game review. If you liked anything within this video, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thank you very much.